There's 20 million followers worth of knowledge in this room right now.
We had a creator do a video that got 1 million views the first time. I took 10 seconds off the video. It got 12 million views.
The more cool shit you do and the more value you give to your audience, the more people will talk about you. Dan called me and he's like, bro, I want to go pro. I want to go all in on this and I want to put my money, my bank account, and my time behind it. And the first 6 years, we just ate shit. Every single follower that comes into our door is worth a certain dollar amount. Take all the revenue you had last month and then take all the followers you had last month and divide those numbers. And you're going to get a revenue per follower. For every niche, like you said, there's probably around 10 to 12 topics that can resonate with your entire CCM fit.
And those are the 6 things that we do to build fans, not just followers.
100%. Do people that follow you believe that you can help them with their problems? A lot of people forget that the whole point of building a personal brand is to influence people. So there's kind of 3 phases that I take people through when it comes to building a media team. The first one is
the people that aren't successful in building a brand are the people that want the ROI now, the clients now.
In today's age, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you.
What's up, guys? I'm Ronny Mitchell. Today, I'm having an interview with my good friend and the creative director for Dan Martell, the fastest growing personal brand on the internet in the last couple of years. Sam, what's up?
What's up, Ronny? How's it going? This is an interview, but it's more of a conversation too, because not a lot of people listening know this, but me and Ronny have been friends for a very fucking long time. We met on the internet when he was doing work for a creator. I was doing work for Dan, and he actually lived with me for 3 months, which was fucking sick.
Yeah, 2021,
and
2022 or some shit.
Yeah, 2022, we compressed 10 years of learnings into 3 months.
Before AI.
Before AI. Since then, obviously, Ronny's went off to build one of the largest creative agencies for personal brands, gotten over 10 million followers across all platforms. What's funny is I also got 10 million followers for Dan in that same amount of time. So there's 20 million followers worth of knowledge in this room right now, which is fucking crazy.
When I first met you, you were doing what? What were you doing for Dan?
I think I was just starting to lead the creative team. Like, I just stepped out of being a video editor and I just stepped into like the more of the marketing role, and I was helping Scarcity at the time, even before Dan's book came out, Buy Back Your Time, but I was helping Scarcity build their content team so that we could get, organic distribution. Because at that time, we'll talk about this, most of our client acquisition was coming from ads. Which is insane, right? Because that's, probably where most people listening to this get most of their clients is from ads or partnerships or whatever. But we wanted to make that shift to organic content, and that's kind of when I started cooking up a little bit of organic strategy. That's when you met me, and yeah, the rest is history. That was it's been crazy 3 months, and then crazy 3 years after that.
Yep, fire. Okay, so we have 4 main points we're going to talk about today. Main topic is building a personal brand. First one is, most people know they need to build a personal brand, but they still don't do it. I think there's a gap between what they know they need to do and what they actually do.
Yeah.
And so, let's get into that. So first thing, what do you think is the biggest reason people don't follow through and build a personal brand?
Like, we've just started making content, you and myself, and we've known that we had to do it for the last 3 years, right? And I think the biggest thing that was holding us back is stepping into that next version of yourself, right? Where you actually are the guy on camera. So I think the fucking fear of starting is a real thing. And I was scared to be on camera. Like, I still get nervous fucking shooting podcasts, right? And I think if you could just remind yourself that everybody that you know, fucking Elon, Jeff Bezos, Dan himself, every single big influencer is no different than you, right? And if you fucking step into that next version of yourself and you end up, shooting content, it's actually not that scary once you get used to it. And it is the reps. And you've worked with, at this point, how many creators? Over 50? Maybe up to 100? Directly over 50, probably 100 plus consulting, right?
Yeah, 30 to 50. I'd say. I've kept it tight.
And out of those 50, you've probably seen people develop insanely well over time on camera, just because they put the reps in.
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially with the creators that are I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they say something in private that then gets clipped and we go to post it, they're like, I don't want to post that. And it's 'cause they do actually care what people think. So
100%.
Anyone that says that shit,
oh, dude, they care. Yeah, they care. You get one hate comment and everything's over, man.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest reasons I've seen that people don't build the brand, or they don't start, they know they need to, but they don't do it, is because of the fact that it's important but not urgent. Yeah. If you look at a business, I run a business, and there's all the urgent fires that need to get put out. Oh, fuck, there's typos on the YouTube video that went live 15 minutes ago, and then someone has to go solve that. Or, or this client is we're blowing them up, but they're like, I don't see the value in doing this wide content. There's always a problem to solve, and So it's very easy to remove, like, not focus on the problems that are non-urgent but very important to the growth of the business.
Yeah.
And so content is very much like that. It is not urgent, but it is incredibly important because the benefit of having a brand is unlike anything I've ever seen. I've directly been in that vehicle where I've seen benefits of people having a brand versus people that don't, and it's shocking. So
and you've probably seen in the creators that you work with, the ones that succeed the most are the ones that delay what they want now for what they want most. Like they're always giving up, the short-term benefit because they understand the power of personal brand long-term.
Yep.
Which is wild.
Yeah. What did Dan say when he first started building a brand? What was his
He dedicated 10 years. Yeah. He's like, bro, I'm going to do this for 10 years. I don't care if I get no results. I'm just going to do it. And obviously, like, you give something a decade, you're going to get good at it and you're going to get results. And that's actually what I did too when I started posting on my iPhone 60 days ago. I was like, I'm going to do it for 10 years.
I said the same thing. I said, I'm working with like a guy to just work on the back end of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll go for 10 years without an ROI.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because you understand the power of it. You've seen it fucking transform lives in some of your clients. Like people going from, I've just seen it. Like, Xteen went from under 50K followers to over fucking 1 million, and the amount of leads that she gets from those followers is more leads that she would ever need, right?
Yeah, she got them all.
Oh, it's insane. And you've probably seen that happen 100 times in 100 of your clients, and you can't underestimate the power of that. And I think if you invest, especially early, like, bro, you're 22, I'm 24, or you just turned 23, like, we got runway, right? And I think if you're listening to this and you're in even if you're in your 50s, dude, like 10 years is until you're 60, right? Like, you got time. Everybody has time. Just fucking do it.
You could eat shit for the next 10 years and you'd still be fine.
Dude.
Yeah. The people that aren't successful in building a brand are the people that want the ROI now. Yep. They want the clients now. And they're like the biggest headaches people that I've worked with in the past. They're like, we're 1 month in, things are starting to, the content's performing better than the content before, but they're like, no leads yet, bro. And I'm like, bro, it's been 1 month.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah. Content is we'll talk about this in a bit, but content is a terrible short-term client acquisition channel, but 100%. It's the best long-term client acquisition channel. What have you guys seen on Dan's page, like when he first started doing the organic content versus now? Like, how many years in now?
Oh, dude, yeah. So he's well past 10 years. I think we're at 12 or 13, like, as far as he's been posting on YouTube specifically. But since I joined the team, it's been 8 years. And the first 6 years, we just ate shit. Like, literally got no results.
What did that eating shit period look like?
Trying a lot of stuff, getting mediocre results, but then telling ourselves that it's okay because we're at least investing in omnipresence, right? Yeah, which is fucking stupid, but we're doing it. We're putting the reps in. We're learning, and it's around 2 years ago that. No, it's been 3 years. It's around 3 years ago that Dan called me and he's like, "Bro, I want to go pro. I want to, go all in on this, and I want to put my money, my bank account, and my time behind it." And January 23, his book came out, Buy Back Your Time. That's when we started to do the big push, and we spent real money, real time on developing a content strategy. And we obviously ate shit during that period of time too, because we were spending money, tons of money and tons of time on a problem, and we weren't good enough at it yet, right? And it took us, I'd say 6 months at least to get momentum on Instagram, and at least 12 months to get momentum on YouTube specifically.
What was it? Just a gradual momentum, or were there like people you worked with, people you hired?
Yeah.
Like, what did you learn that produced the biggest spikes?
Hire the people that have the knowledge and just listen to them blindly. Like, literally just hire one person, trust them blindly, execute everything they say, and then take what works, discard what doesn't.
People that I've seen that are not successful at content are the people that hire someone and then argue with that person.
Yeah. It's wild.
So you want us to post wide content, but I don't see how that's going to benefit our clients. I'm like, trust me, bro. Like, I've done this. Yeah. Like, trust me, bro. But it's hire people that have the answers and then just trust them blindly. What else?
In that same breath, always question your own assumptions. Like, I thought that these influencers that were growing faster than us knew something that we didn't, right? And at the end of the day, I realized that we're not doing enough volume, right? Like, it's tactics, it's skills, it's obviously you want to get better at the actual, like, doing. But at the end of the day, they were posting, let's say 50 times, let's say 200 times a week on specific platforms across all platforms, we're posting 30, 50 times a week. There just wasn't enough volume. There wasn't enough data, and we weren't paying attention to the metrics enough. And I think that's one thing that I had to relearn. And I had to question that assumption of like, okay, maybe other people don't necessarily know something I don't. They're just doing more. Right. And I think that was something that I kind of realized in that year period when we were trying to figure it out. It's like, okay, let's just, let's say you've got 3 shots on goal in a fucking year, right? You've got 3 points of data. That's not good enough to make any significant changes. But let's say in a year you post over, for us, 196 times every single week, times 52. I don't know the math on that, but that's a fucking lot, right? If you have that many shots on goal, you have that much data, and you actually track that data and pay attention to it, and you look at the conversion metrics downstream, then you're going to be able to make a lot better decisions.
It's impossible to not see patterns when you do so much volume.
Yeah. So, like, if I could go back and, talk to, 22-year-old Sam that was trying to figure it out, I'd be like, bro, post more. Like, we went from 1 to 2 YouTube videos a week, and it not only doubled our views, it 2.5x them, which means the ROI is even more positive than it would be on a single video a week.
There's a factor to posting more as well. So when you want to grow a brand, there are 2 types of growth. There is viral growth, where you get viral video and then, that got 10, 20, 30,000 followers.
Yeah.
That's the kind of growth that everyone wants. And then there's the unsexy kind of growth, which is where you're posting so much volume and every video gets 100 followers.
Yeah.
No one looks at the videos that get 100 followers and says that was a good video. But let's say you post 5 videos a day that all get 100 followers. That's 500 followers a day.
100%.
And I think that if you want to grow a brand, it's a combination of both, because if you only grow from that viral content, you're only attracting people that are interested in dopaminergic content, because 100%. Viral content, it's digestible to the masses, and the masses isn't always the type of people you want. I'm not saying you don't want them, but they're not the only people you want. And then those videos that get 100 followers, even 50 followers, that is going to attract a crowd that is less dopaminergic focused, dopamine focused, and they're actually interested in listening and learning versus just, this video was funny or entertaining or polarizing.
Yeah, but my buddy Arturo calls it seagull content versus eagle content.
I love that content.
Yeah.
So seagull versus eagle content it means like, you ever seen that scene from Nemo where you have all the seagulls going, mine, It's like, those are the type of people that are interested in the polarizing, the dopaminergic content, the viral content.
Yep.
And then the eagle content is like, think of an eagle. They're a monarch. They are someone who invests in themselves. They're interested in learning more. You want to create both types of content. I love fucking genius for
it's a great analogy.
That. On the concept of doing more, I think when you're, let's say, a business owner and you're a solo content guy, you're the only one. You don't even have a videographer, or maybe you have a videographer or just an editor. You don't always think about the power of making what you are doing part-time someone else's full-time job.
Yep. Yeah.
That's why when you hire a media team and it's like, your full-time job is copy now. Dude, you spent maybe 2 hours a week before on copywriting. Now you have a guy who spends, what's the average work week? Like 50, 60 hours a week? Yeah. His 60-hour a week job is to now do copywriting. Words. How much better can you get at copywriting? Also, let's say we hire a short form person. Before you spent an hour a week on short form, what if you get someone and you pay them however much to work 60 hours a week on just short form? How much more is your short form content going to grow? And
sailing fast.
I think that's what you've noticed more than most other people, because you guys have, how big is the media team now?
We're a team of 15 now.
Crazy.
And we're actually, that sounds big, but to me it's kind of lean too. But yeah, to the average person, it is a big team, but we get insane amounts of results just because of that one concept, which is I deploy people per function in the business.
Talk about that.
We've built a structure where every single person on the media team, all those 15 people, have ownership over a certain channel. So what that can look like is, somebody owning Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, somebody owning YouTube, somebody owning email, somebody owning X, right? And that way there's, pardon my analogy, but there's one throat to choke if the fucking numbers go down, right? Because a lot of people want to hide behind their work and say like, it's not my fault Instagram's not working, the algorithm, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, if you have a media team and you're spending over 6 figures on content, you better have somebody to kind of point to and say like, what are we doing, right?
Yep. And
those people are accountable for everything between ideation to posting the video, right? That doesn't mean that they execute 100% of all the activities inside the process. We have a videographer that films the edits. We have, a team that, sets up the lights and all that fun stuff. But we have a system that they are accountable for, that on a daily basis they wake up and they push forward, right? And this could sound kind of like a little bit too highbrow for a lot of people listening. So there's kind of 3 phases that I take people through when it comes to building a media team. The first one is your video editor / VA phase, right? Where you just make the content, you send it to an editor, and they send it back, and then you post it on Instagram. That's like probably where most people listening to this pod are at in their journey right now. The second phase is you hire somebody like myself or an agency, right? Somebody to run the creative team. And, for me, Dan, we went all in 3 years ago. That's what he said. You're my creative director, you're my content director. You are accountable for building this team. And that's just 100% what I did. And their one role is to sit between the creator and the media team. And they deploy all the resources necessary. Treat your agency the same way, right? You go hire an agency so that, you can get results on short form. All that agency is supposed to do is sit between you and their video editors, right? And you interface with them in a way that gets you results on social media. And then the third phase is what I just talked about, which is channel owners. And if you get to the point where you're making over 7 figures a month from organic content, you want to step into that kind of structure, because that will get you more results than, a specific creative director or even just, hiring an agency. And I could probably count on my 2 hands how many people in this world right now should be in phase 3, right? Where I think it's kind of more an aspirational thing to look forward to, not necessarily something you need to implement today.
Why should they be in phase 3, like you said?
Why should they not be, or should they be?
You said they shouldn't be.
Well, I think most people shouldn't be in phase 3. I think they skip to the end. And I think they haven't figured out phase 2, which is have somebody own 100% of your content. I think a lot of people, these creators, you work with them, right? They hold all the cards close to their chest. And what I 100% admire about Dan is, like, he knew that he wasn't the person to take the media company to the next level. He called me in. He's like, hey, Sam, let's fucking take this ship to the next level and give me 100% ownership over all the fucking functions, right? And I think you should do the same with your agency, right? Like, fucking trust them to actually execute. And a lot of creators, are still bottlenecked, whether they're not getting results, or even, this is the jail that I see most, high reach content creators in, even people I can think about right now that have over 6 million followers on Instagram that still film content with their fucking iPhone and edit on CapCut and then fucking post it. And they're just stuck in this loop of creating content because they haven't figured out how to delegate it, right? And that's almost worse than the person that is doing that same thing but not getting results, because you can't get away from it. You can't delegate that. So, yeah, I think most people should figure out phase 2 before they jump into phase 3, because if you give ownership over platforms before you actually have somebody that owns a whole creative team, then you're just going to create chaos.
That's good. That's great. Love the phases. I think if we're bridging back into why people don't build a brand, even though they know they should, one of the biggest things I hear from people is the cost. And I think there's 3 main types of cost that they aren't aware of. I love, whenever I'm trying to solve a problem, defining all the variables at play. And so there's 3 costs that I've factored in. There's a cognitive cost. That's the one people don't usually pay attention to, because building a brand, spending the time learning what you know, that's a process.
Being able to speak your thoughts out loud. Like, a lot of people have their philosophy, but they're not able to distill it into frameworks that other people understand. And that's the number 1 skill as a content creator.
Can you take your 10 years of experience in thing and make it digestible to people with 0 years of experience in thing? So the cognitive cost is number 1. Time cost is number 2. A lot of founders are very busy. They don't understand how they're going to invest the time. And then number 3 is the financial cost. Whether you're working with an agency or hiring a media team, whatever route you go, it is expensive. And I think people don't know how expensive it is. Like, for a good team, for a good agency, it's a lot.
Multi 5 figures if you want a really good agency. And if you want to build a big creative team, it's going to cost you over six figures a month, every single month, right? And I think if you're not making money from it, right, which we could talk about, and how much money should you expect at what stage of your, personal brand you're in, you shouldn't expect to kind of pay for that overnight. And I think there's seasons in life where you kind of have to invest to get it back later on. And that's what I respect a lot about Dan, is he went fucking all in and he spent the money knowing that on the back end he would make it back.
And he has.
Like 100x, which is wild.
In areas that you wouldn't expect. In areas that the viewers would not expect.
The great example is, getting opportunities like investing in Newtonic, right? Like, he wouldn't have got that opportunity in talking to the Newtonic team without having his personal brand, right? And I think a lot of people, we can talk about the benefits of personal brand later on, but one of them is 100% access to networking opportunities.
Huge.
Which doesn't show up in your bank account today, but let's say you have 10 million followers on Instagram and Elon Musk reached out because he see you're posting content on AI and he wants to do a partnership with X. With, you do that partnership, start building a relationship. That could be very, very lucrative for you in the future.
Let's say you're Ryan Serhant with millions and millions of followers, and all of a sudden you have a Netflix show.
Yeah, 100%. And that wouldn't have happened if he didn't build that distribution first. And people forget that Ryan Serhant was just a real estate agent fucking 10 years ago. And then he started making content, and all of a sudden he's one of the biggest real estate agents in the world because of that.
But I'm not getting clients.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah, it is wild. But you do want to monetize at the same time. You want to build what I call a self-fulfilling engine, which is getting clients while you build a personal brand. And, you're not going to get a 10x ROI overnight, which is what people expect. They expect, them to spend fucking $5,000 on an agency and then get, $50,000 back. That's not going to happen, right? Realistically. But what is going to happen is in the long term, right? Couple months, you'll start to make money back. And you want to, this is why I'm a big fan of data. You want to have a dollar amount that a follower is worth to you, which is what we do here at Martell Media. Every single follower that comes into our door is worth a certain dollar amount.
How do you calculate that?
Take all the revenue you had last month per channel, and then take all the followers you had last month per channel and divide those numbers. And you're going to get a revenue per follower. And that revenue per follower should be going up and to the right. Because if it's not, then you're doing something wrong. You're probably going too broad with your content, which we'll talk about the kind of ratio you have to go through. But yeah, 100% want to monetize your audience as you grow.
Is there a period of time where it won't go up and to the right? And what does that phase of time look like?
I think, so from my experience, it could be anywhere between 6 months to 12 months where you have to invest.
That's like a huge caveat.
Yeah, huge caveat where it's like there's going to be a period of time, 6 to 12 months, where you have to invest in this personal brand that you're not going to see an ROI. We have to trust that you're going to figure it out. And that's a risk that you have to be willing to take, because there was 100% of time where me and Dan were in the fucking studio and we're not getting views on YouTube specifically. And, he told me, bro, what do I need to do to get a 100K video? And I was like, bro, trust me, right? Trust the process. And 2 weeks later, we got a 100K video, right? Like it's that, and that shit, obviously happened because of, we executed all the playbooks, but in that same breath, you just have to believe that it's possible, right? And yeah, you have to be extremely impatient with your action, but extremely patient with the result. And it could take anywhere from 6 to 12 months, but as long as you keep iterating on your process and you keep, asking experts what you should do, then you will 100% get results on social media.
It's good. I agree. From what I've seen in my own world, I've seen roughly the same time frame. I think you can start to see views, followers go up in the first 90 days to 6 months.
Yep.
And then the first revenue difference, like when does the revenue go up? First 6 to 12 months.
Yep.
Yeah, usually about that. I think.
And then it's exponential. That's what's wild. Like all the clients you work with, they fucking seen the same results after 6 to 12 months of building their brand. That's what's cool about it is an asset, just like buying a house or buying, into the S&P 500, or if you keep investing in it, it keeps giving you dividends, and it's a forever asset where, you're going to be attached to your name forever, right? Yep. Especially a personal brand. You're never going to sell that, and you can direct that attention to anything you want. If you can start with a consulting company or a coaching company like most people do, but then, you step into product distribution, right? Where you actually build enterprise value. And that's what we're doing at Martell Ventures right now. Is like we're building these tools that if we add $1 of revenue to one of these tools, we can make, a 10x ROI on the enterprise value. And I think that's what people forget that they can do in the long term, is actually direct that attention to things that are completely different than just coaching revenue.
The position Dan is in, the position Hormozi's in, Ryan Serhant, Simon Squibb, these people are not posting content just for client acquisition. They are posting content as a door into their model.
100%.
Hormozi just released a video on his Instagram talking about how he makes his money, and he has the content which leads into the services, and working in the services gives him a door into what business owners are currently struggling with, so that he can create better content. The services lead to the portfolio company leads to something else, and then it basically all comes back around. It's a flywheel. And it's brilliant, but most people just are posting content. And,
posting content, selling coaching, posting content, selling coaching, but they forget that there's a loop that they can enter where they post content, consult with people. Those people end up being partners long term, like we do at Martell Ventures, and then those partners create viral distribution by creating their own personal brands. Right?
And there's so much more to it than what you just said, but that's like huge.
Yeah, it's insane. And I think that's what people forget is once you've built one personal brand, we can maybe go into this in this podcast, you are able to create characters within your universe, right? Where 2008 Iron Man comes out, everybody fucking loves Iron Man, and then they're like, what could we do more? We're gonna build characters around this one character. So then they started coming out with all the movies,
Thor, Captain
right?
America.
And then in fucking 2013 they dropped the Avengers, right? And that broke a bunch of fucking records. And I think that's, if you look at what we're doing, I'm building one of many Avengers with my personal brand, right? And I think that's what people forget. And I can get into like why it matters. One, likeness is one of the reasons why people would buy shit from you, right?
Can you talk about that?
Likeness.
Because that's so huge.
Somebody that's 45 years old is probably going to be more likely to buy from Dan than me. Someone who's 25 years old is probably going to be more likely to buy from me than Dan.
We'll take a script that we did for one creator in the fitness niche. They'll do it. They'll attract a bunch of moms that are a little chunky.
Yeah.
Another creator will do it shredded. We'll attract a completely different crowd. People
100%.
who want to be bodybuilding competitors. It's the same topic. It's just like attracts like.
So if you look at, most of the more advanced content creators online right now that are building personal brands, they're working on this concept of the Avengers, right? Where they build personal brands, maybe it's male, women, right? Maybe it's younger people, right? Like we're doing at Martell Media with my personal brand. And that is 100% underrated.
A brand is it's an umbrella that should have multi-characters underneath it, like Disney. Disney still at the top.
Yep.
Still watching Disney,
yep.
But you're watching all of Disney's characters. Yep. So like attracts like.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. I think that's what I realized kind of as a side effect is, expanding the TAM is 100% the reason why you should be creating personal brands around your personal brands. And that's an advanced concept that you fucking will never hear anybody talk about.
I don't think anyone.
Nobody's talking about this.
No.
Because they don't realize what big corporations are doing to them, which is exactly this. Is they're leveraging likeness. And you saw this with, Super Bowl, right? You saw this with Bad Bunny. And what they wanted to do was expand into a broader TAM, right? And, put football on top as, a fucking international sport. And they went, what is the second most spoken language in the world next to English? Spanish, right? So what do? You fucking get one of the biggest grossing Spanish artists on stage at the Super Bowl, and that fucking broke records.
Side note, what he just did there is brilliant. We can clip podcasts into short form content, and we know that Bad Bunny is a hot topic right now. I don't know if you've seen Twitter or Threads, but it's like
demand.
It's
demand,
popping,
baby.
Yeah, and so sharing in demand topics and making it relevant to what you're doing is so huge. So like huge like tangent just there, but like that's if you create content, what you just did is something that you should be doing.
Yep.
In your podcasts, in your short form content all the time. It's just like weave in those in-demand topics that are hot at the moment.
And it's not hard. Like if you just pay attention to the world around you and you pay attention to how the world is running, right, you can 100% connect what you're doing, your business, to something that is high demand.
I have an example. We're working with a guy. He's in sales. And he used to create super boring, this is how you overcome an objection.
Yeah.
Pretty bland.
Yeah.
So we started making content about if you want to hold your homie's hand in public and he says, no, this is how you overcome his objection. Brilliant. Million views.
Yeah.
Million views.
Yeah.
Next top we're going to do is get him to review the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and all the drama and how the girls are bickering and like trying to fight. He's going to be like, pause. She could have overcome this objection this way. She didn't do this well. And it's brilliant because he's doing the same thing you did with Bad Bunny. We're taking these in-demand topics and we're showing people how the topic of sales is relevant to these mainstream topics. So it's just like, I have a buddy, Ardent. He's one of the creative directors at Genesis. And he made the analogy where your personal brand is an island in the ocean and there are other islands around you.
Yeah.
And these other islands don't know you exist and they don't know that you have value for them. So you need to create a bridge to those other islands. And that bridge is borrowing the demand from these mainstream events that are going on. Yeah. And so that's just an example.
100%.
What we're doing there.
I love that. And it is connecting. It's all we're doing as communicators is connecting the unknown to the known, right? Like all you're doing in personal brand is connecting the unknown to the known, right? That's why we use analogies, right? Where we can take something you just used it in real time, fucking island analogy. Everybody can imagine those islands in their mind, and everybody, probably not everyone, but some people have watched the Super Bowl. Some people have watched Secret Life of Mormon Wives, and those things are things that are known in the market. All your creators doing is connecting something that is known to something that's unknown, right? Sales methodology. And by doing that, he's able to actually, attract a broader TAM and then also give value to the market.
There is a world where every niche has a mainstream application of that niche. So sales applies to relationships, movies, TV shows, like you name it. But people don't know that. They think sales just applies to salespeople. Fitness applies to everyone. But if you don't make people aware of how it does, then they won't get it. So an example of something we're doing with the creator we're working with is when you're carrying groceries, you use your traps and your delts to lift that weight. Yeah. So do this and this and this. And we're making people aware of how fitness fits into their regular everyday life.
Yeah.
And that's how you create content that blows. That's how you build a massive personal brand. You find what is the mainstream application of this thing that everybody uses, that the whole world consumes. Like an example for AI, if you're an AI founder, talk about ChatGPT as much as you can, even if you don't love ChatGPT, because it's not a great platform if you're trying to use it as a business owner or creative. But like a lot of people use ChatGPT. Like my mom uses ChatGPT, my girlfriend uses ChatGPT. And so if you can create content that speaks to how to prompt ChatGPT to help you when you're having an argument with your boyfriend on text and how to overcome his whatever that he's dealing with, that's how you get people into your world. It's the familiar, unfamiliar that you just mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you used it in your first viral video on Instagram. Literally the first fucking reel you posted got over 500,000 views, and it was about ChatGPT. It was like, if you're using ChatGPT for content ideas, you're probably not getting the best content ideas. That was essentially the hook. Mm-hmm. And what you did is you use a familiar term in an unknown way, which is, content ideas, and you leverage that. You call it keywords all the time. You leverage that keyword so that people lean in. Mm-hmm. And all you want to do in content is just mention familiar things, mm-hmm. right? Like one of our last million view videos was Google just launched this education tool name. This is how I'm applying it in my life today, right? And Dan used the keyword Google, right, which got us a broad TAM. People find that word very familiar. It's probably one of the most well-known words around the world.
Most Googled words.
Yeah, Google. And now we've been able to extract a broad TAM. And Dan goes deep into how he uses AI to learn things into that video, so it actually applies to his ICP and his market. But we're able to attract a broader market just from him using that keyword, which I think is really cool.
I think something that a lot of people do wrong when they're trying to go broad is they talk about things that have no relevance to their core niche. And the goal is to not talk about, like, don't just go get pushed in a cart down the freeway because you think it's going to get views, because that has no correlation to your industry. But if you can somehow find a way to do something that is high TAM, has viral capability, and make it relevant and bridge it to your niche, that's how you do it properly.
100%. Yeah, one of my mentors, Caleb Ralston, calls it niche-wide content, which means how can you make wide content that also applies to your niche, which is also something that Patty Galloway talks about in all his YouTube methodology, which is this concept of CCM fit, right? Core, casual, new audience fit, which means, does it resonate with your core audience, the people that buy your shit? Does it resonate with your casual audience, the people that watch your shit but don't buy your shit yet? Does it resonate with your new audience, the people that have never seen your face before? And if you can find topics for every niche, like you said, there's probably around 10 to 12 topics that can resonate with all your entire CCM fit, you will get views and clients, not or, and. And that's a big idea. And I think an example of that for us is boss versus leader.
Yep.
Right? The concept of boss versus leader applies to our core audience, the person that is a boss or a leader, depending how people see him. The person that's our casual audience, right? People that have jobs that maybe hate their boss or love their leader. And the people that have never seen our face before understand the concept of a boss versus a leader, right? So when we make that carousel on YouTube of boss versus leader, and it gets over fucking 60 million views and over 200K subscribers from one post, which is insane, I look at that and I say CCN fit, right? Core, casual, new audience fit, because it resonated with our core audience, which is why it got pushed broadly, right? First, our core audience got that message very, very well. Then the casual audience, then the new audience. And it hits all fucking three dominoes, and then you get viral content.
There's a world where also that new audience, they don't know that they could be your core audience one day. So the people that, there's like, let's say you're a bodybuilding coach. There's a lot of young guys that go to the gym that like bodybuilding that don't know that they want to be a bodybuilder one day. And they don't know that they will be a bodybuilder one day. But it's your job to get in front of them so that you can lead them in the direction of becoming a bodybuilder. And that just doesn't just apply to bodybuilding. That applies to every niche.
100%. Yeah. I call it results in advance. You want to get people to get RIA, get re-up while they watch your content, results in advance. And what that looks like is learn something, apply it, get results, attribute that result to you, and then lean in. And your marketing will help more people than your product ever will. You're going to help 100, 200, 1,000 times more people with your videos than you're ever going to help them with your coaching. Because if you're not giving away all your best shit, which is all I'm doing on my Instagram, by the way, like right now I'm just giving away all my fucking frameworks for free because I understand that my product, which doesn't exist yet, I don't even fucking sell anything, is never going to help as many people as my content.
Yeah.
And if you want to build goodwill in the market long term, you have to build those deposits of goodwill. And that only happens by getting people results in advance, by giving them frameworks that they can implement today that will actually help them more than any fucking course will ever help them.
I think getting into the details of what that help more people than your offer, like your content will help more people than your offer ever will. Getting into the details of what the ratios actually look like. And I think it would astound some people. Like it could be 100x ratio, like 100x the amount of people that buy your shit will get value from your shit.
Yep.
And a lot of people would see that as a wash, but
no, I think that's a scarcity mindset, right? A lot of people think that, you know, it's a zero-sum game and everybody that has results takes something from me, and if they didn't pay me to get the results, then they stole from me essentially. And I don't believe in that, right? I think, you know, synergy, which I fucking hate that word, by the way, is a beautiful thing, right? And, you know, sometimes 1 + 1 can equal 3 or 4 if you collaborate with people. And if you help somebody get, you know, better results on content, better results on, you know, their business, better results on XYZ, they are 100% going to help you back if they're a good person, which I believe everybody is in their whole core. They're a good person and they want to help you. And so that's why my whole life, and you've seen this, you've known me for 3 years, I just fucking give all away my best shit.
Yep.
Right? I help people as much as I can without expecting anything in return, because I know on the other side of them winning, I'm going to win more. I don't know how yet. Maybe it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years down the road, but I know I will eventually win more because I've helped this person. And I think a lot of people have that scarcity mindset. They don't want to step into that abundance because they're scared that, you know, if I help this person with my content, are they going to take my fucking business, right? Which, even if they did, right? Even if they did, what would you then? What would you do? Get more, right? And I think that's what people shy away from. That's what keeps people stuck, is they hold all their best playbooks close to their chest, where they should just give them away for free.
Someone that I know knows all of the frameworks that I teach, and they saw one of your first videos, and you shared something similar that I'd said before, and he was like, bro, are you ever nervous that, like, Sam's doing that? Or are you guys going to be competitors one day? And I was like, bro, the world is fucking huge, and me and Sam are buddies, and we're, like, I have no fear of that. It was an interesting thought. Like, people are very afraid of what it would mean if people took their frameworks, their topics, their education, and then used it and got value from it, and then maybe even taught it in their own way.
Yep.
Like, I don't fear that. I think
and I think it's fair for your friend to actually think that, because that's our default mode, is to be in scarcity, right? It's to be in, you know, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? What if it doesn't? Right? What if you don't help everybody? What if you didn't teach me that framework and I didn't get results for Dan, and I didn't build, you know, 10 million followers on the back end, and we weren't doing this podcast about how we fucking both won, right? And I think a lot of people, you know, forget that, yeah, it's fun to win, but what's more fun to win is actually win with your fucking friends.
So fun. Yeah.
And be at the top with people and not just fucking alone there, right? And yeah, I think it's I don't, you know, blame anybody for thinking that way, but I would invite them that there's a completely different way of thinking, which is everyone is on a journey of betterment, and if you can help people get better, right, and learn and get results, you will 100% see it back, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 15 years, maybe in 50 years, maybe never, and it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. I shared this recently, but there is an unspoken ROI to helping out rich and successful people. And I mean, there's an ROI to helping everyone out. But if you're like tracking what you're getting, helping, and you're like afraid, oh, like, am I going to give too much, whatever, always help out the people that have a track record of helping other people. And I think it's, I agree with what you said, where it doesn't, like, it's our default mode to be in scarcity. And I think there's a little bit of breaking, mindset shifting you have to do to not do that. But like, I have buddies that I've helped with content and absolutely blown their shit up, didn't charge them anything. And they've been not only great buddies, but great connections that led to opportunities and like good moments and experiences that if I had have charged them money and it was like a value exchange at that point, wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a huge proponent of like, it's internal motto of mine is just give 10 times more than you receive. And I think a lot of people say like give more than you receive. But like
That
I have a
ratio is
number.
important.
Yeah, give 10 times more because as someone who is generous, you will come across way more people that take than give. But when a giver meets a giver, it's like I have this silly little quote. It's like when a giver meets a giver, it's like that scene in Harry Potter where Harry and Voldemort touch tips with them.
Oh yeah, they fucking touch tips hard.
Yeah, it's really cool because you can build such a cool opportunity vehicle and empire with those people. Yeah, I think that's how like people get into business with the people. Like that's how they attract their partners and their employees. They're like, oh, I know that you're really good at your thing. I'm really good at my thing. We both like are very generous people. Let's see what we can do together. So
Yeah, and that's not binary. It's not 1 + 1. Like 1 + 1 = 10 if you have leverage, which is collaboration. Right? There's 4 C's of leverage: code, capital, content, collaboration. The fourth one, I agree, I would argue, is the fucking most important, which is working on projects together. Right? And we did this when we first came up. Right? For those 3 months, all we did was share notes. Right? You did your thing building the agency. I did my thing building Dan's personal brand. And every single day we would share notes. And what that did in that 3 months is it gave us 10 years of experience in fucking 3 months because we had 2 people getting experience out there, you and me, in completely different niches.
Yeah.
Right? And you were using some of my frameworks on your shit. I was using some of your frameworks on my shit. And we learned way faster than everybody else because we had that collaboration. And yeah, people that just want to be that lone wolf and fucking do it all themselves, like, bro, nobody's self-made. No. Everybody's community made, whether it's your parents, whether it's your friends, whether it's your employer, your first employers, your bosses, whether it's your fucking mentors that you watch online. Everybody's community made, and the more you can actually help people, like you said, give away all your best stuff to people. When you meet other givers, they will give back, and that is the ultimate leverage.
I love that. I love defining everything and making frameworks for shit. Like everything seems so vague and in your head, and people have thoughts. It's like they're picking up breadcrumbs, but then when you make a framework, it's just like, oh, cool. So this is where it applies. Leverage, collaboration. Cool.
Yeah,
makes sense. All right. So we know that now you need to build a personal brand, and we know the reasons people don't build a personal brand. So maybe that helps you overcome those. But let's talk about the benefits of building a personal brand. I think a lot of people have in their mind what those benefits are, but I think you have some very unique perspectives on what the real benefits are and the good reasons to build a brand. So let's get into some of those.
Well, for me, it comes down to 3 things. 1, opportunities, right, which a lot of people forget. 2, pricing power. How much can you charge for a thing? And then 3 is impact. So if I break them down right now, opportunities, I've seen on the other side of Dan going from 0 to 10 million followers across all platforms, the most insane amounts of opportunities come into his life, from being able to invest in certain companies, from being able to partner with certain people, experiences with people that he would have never thought of, being friends with them.
Yeah,
right?
He's now their friend because
of the personal brand that he's built. Because in today's age, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. If I wake up tomorrow and LeBron fucking follows me and he likes my shit, and he invites me to see, the Lakers courtside, I'm going to say yes. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, me and LeBron are friends. Not because I know LeBron, because LeBron knows me, right? And that's 100% the first one, which is opportunity.
So strong.
The second one is pricing power, right? If I have a shirt that has a Nike logo on it versus a shirt that has no Nike logo on it, I can sell it for either $60 or $6. What that is a 10x ROI on what? What is brand, right? It's association. They associate the t-shirt with a certain message, right? All the athletes that we've watched, growing up all wear that swoosh, which tells people that I am about that life, right? I'm about, just doing it, or whatever Nike stands for now. Whether Dan's stamp of approval is on somebody like me or on a fucking certain framework, those people are going to pay more for that than something that isn't associated with Dan, right? And that's the power of actually building a personal brand, is being able to charge more for things because they know the quality of the information is good. Because that's all pricing power is trust, right? Trust that you're not going to fuck me over. And if I build a personal brand, right, and I'm always associated to good things, right, and I'm always building a track record of giving more value away than anybody else in the world, then people are going to pay more for my shit. 1, because they know what they're going to get, and 2, because they have a bunch of goodwill that's built up that they associate with that certain person.
So the reason you'd say that building a brand gives you leverage with pricing power is because you have built-in trust with people.
100%.
So because we know that LeBron trusts Nike and Kyrie Irving trusts Nike and whoever else trusts Nike, that if they trust Nike, then that means I should trust Nike too because I trust them. And now because I trust them, they're able to charge a premium.
100%. 100%. And trust that it's actually a high quality product. Because at the end of the day, if that's all people pay for is value.
So there's a little bit of an umbrella that brand is. It's not just, oh, brand, now I can charge a lot of money, because you could have a bad brand and still not be able to charge a lot of money.
Yeah, you have to have a strong brand in the market. And that's the thing too, is like, how many deposits are you making versus withdrawals, right? And I know this is a big concept that's going to land the plane for everybody here. Think about what Alex Hormozi did in 72 hours. $100 million worth of books, right? In 72 hours. How? He's been making deposits for the last 5 years, giving 10, 15, 20, 100 times more than he's ever taken from his audience. And all of a sudden, he has trust, but he also has goodwill. And he's able to make these big, high ticket offers over 5K. And people are going to buy that shit because they have those two things. Mm-hmm. Right? And that is brand.
He didn't ask for 5 years. And then we have the people that are just starting to build their brand and they want to make money now. Like, huge contrast, just visually.
Yeah, because what people don't realize is goodwill compounds. Right? If I make a deposit in you, that's fucking weird. But if I make a deposit, around you,
we should keep that in.
I'm 100% keeping that in. I'm fucking not letting you taking that out. If I make a deposit in you today, right, and I make another one tomorrow. All right, we're immature. Yeah.
You're good. That shit compounds.
If all I do for a year, and you've seen Gary Vee do this, is give value to my audience over time, you will 100% be able to build this compounding effect that not only, gives you more opportunities to sell more shit, but will make people talk more about you, right? And I think that's what people forget, this concept called VWAM, which is viral word of mouth, which means the more cool shit you do and the more value you give to your audience, the more people will talk about you, right? And the best way you can track this is go on Google search trends. And you'll find that people like Alex, when he did the book launch, his score was at 100, right? He was getting way more traffic than anybody else in his niche, outside his niche, because he had made a big splash, right? And at the end of the day, if you want to, build a personal brand and actually, extract value from your audience, don't fucking do it on a daily. Wait a little bit. And over time, it'll compound and you'll be able to monetize at a higher level. And people will want to give you dollars, not just feel forced to.
Yeah. They'll be begging for you to have a product for them to buy.
Yeah, I'm seeing this right now in my content. I literally have in my bio, I do not sell anything. I don't sell anything. And I still have people in my DMs. I'll pay you fucking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a call. And I say, bro, watch my content. Ask me a question in the DMs. I'm not selling anything. I'm well employed with Dan's, media team, and I'm fucking happy building this. I'm doing the personal brand to help more people build the impact because I want to minimize the amount of regrets that I have in the future.
It's easy to hear, hard to apply.
The power of personal brand, opportunity, pricing power, impact, right? Impact. What is impact? And we talked about it on this podcast, right? At the end of the day, obviously people want to make a lot of money. But when you have all the money in the world, what matters, right? And I see this because I'm around all these rich people that have made millions of dollars, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars. And they don't get happiness from making another fucking dollar tomorrow. What they get happiness from is helping other people, whether it's helping people in their coaching programs, whether it's helping people on content, whether it's helping people through redeploying their capital away from their business and into a charity and donating that money. I've seen Dan give away millions of dollars to charity over the last 5 years, and he gets more happiness from that than anything else that he does in his world. That is what we want to do.
Yeah, rich people making more money doesn't make them happy. I think a concept that I've been thinking a bit about recently, because I work a lot and it's not always rewarding. But I think what I'm working towards is getting paid for collaborative flow state.
Yeah.
I think that's the thought for me. Like I recently saw a DJ perform and he was just up there having a good time. And he was just in flow state is what I call it. And what I've seen people call it. And I was like, I don't want to be a DJ, but I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid for this and he enjoys it. And then like you see his Instagram and he's just in his room making music all day. I'm like, that's fucking sick. Like he loves the art of what he's doing and he gets paid to do that and he collaborates with people in the process. So I think it's easy to get in scarcity and be like, oh, I'm making content because I need money, because I need to pay my bills and whatever. But I think there's a level above that most people won't get to or aren't at. And so they don't understand the 3D chess game that's going on with building a personal brand, which is that the purpose of it and the value of it to your soul and to other people is the impact that you were just referring to.
Yeah.
There's a added benefit to building a brand that I want to talk about that we didn't mention, but it's an audience's desire for proximity towards the brand figure.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've seen a lot of creators struggle with. They're able to get they're able to get views and followers, and maybe the followers just fucking blow, like they're gaining 500,000, 1 million followers, but they don't have the same audience's desire for proximity that Dan has.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dan can go, yo, what up, on my Instagram stories, I'm in Sydney, like who wants to see a
hundreds of people,
and then hundreds of people in
24
every
hours,
city.
yeah,
in every city he goes to,
yeah,
in 24 hours. Wild. If some of the other creators that have a following did the same thing, would people show up? Probably not. And so I think there is a few missing ingredients that build that desire for proximity. What have you seen those ingredients are? Like, what's the difference between what Dan does versus what other people do?
If I had to distill desire for proximity into one simple concept, it would be this. Do people that follow you believe that you can help them with their problems? At the end of the day, it all comes down to that. And they will not want to be close to you if they don't think that you can solve their problem. And if you had to like dissect what that looks like, it's, do you have the knowledge, right? Are you a good person, right? Do I trust you? And is there proof that you've done it in the past, right? Credibility. And I think a lot of people forget that the whole point of building a personal brand is to influence people. And I see a lot of people that have brands with no influence. And I know a lot of people that have small brands that have tons of influence over what people do. And I think what we've focused on extremely well for Dan's personal brand and how we've built it is to design it around building that trust mechanism where people know, like, trust Dan, and they think that Dan can help them because he's demonstrated the ability to create that.
You talked about building influence in your content. I have a list of variables that you need in order to have, like, to build an audience of fans, not just followers.
Yeah.
And the first one is credibility. So you need undeniable proof and consistently show that proof that you are good at something and better than other people. So that's first. And I think a lot of creators don't do that because maybe sharing social proof isn't sexy. It looks silly. It's not like curated content. Like maybe it's a before and after photo of like a client that lost 20 pounds, but they're still like chunky and it doesn't look crazy. It's still credibility. You know what I mean? Maybe like you're sharing a client testimonial of like, oh, I'm finally making 10K a month. Thanks, bro. It's like, that's not huge, but it's still credibility.
And you want to make your credibility relatable too, which is big. Like, you don't want to show your client that made $1 million in a week. You want to show the client that made 5,000 in a month.
So the first is credibility. The second is dogma. What do you believe about the world outside of your niche? So like, this is belief centric. It's like identity centric of the creator. So what do they believe about the world? What do you believe about relationship dynamics? Maybe parenting. Like, you don't have to get into all that stuff, but like relationships, parenting, fitness. You don't have to talk about the government or politics. There's some things that like it's your personal choice to stay away from. But like, what do you believe about the world outside of your niche? The third is personality. So an element of personality that you guys will have seen earlier in the podcast is when we made a joke, we started laughing. If we include that in here. So that's personality. People love that. Dan just did a video that I sent to one of your guys on the team, Arturo. It was you have $15. Dan just did a video. It's like, you have $15, and then they were breaking down niche, first team.
What should you invest that $15 in to start your first business?
So good. And during one of the questions, Arturo mentioned the Super Bowl. And Dan just like smirked, and I'm like, I like Dan because of that. Like, that's the personality element. It's like, what? And I define personality as, how do you communicate that makes you different and unique than other people? And so a lot of people try and keep their personality out of their content because there is a very high chance, because the world is judgmental, that you've been judged for your uniqueness in the past. And so I think that sharing your personality is something that there is a huge benefit for in your content. benefit to in your content. So if there's a funny joke you want to make, or you want to laugh, or you want to smile, or you want to like make facial expressions, or there's just a weird way that you communicate, do it. Talking more, bro.
Yeah, lean into it.
Talking more is, I love him as a character
because
he's so different than anyone else. His personality is just like different, and I love it. So personality is number 3. Counter positioning is number 4. It's something that I've seen drastically work for a few people. It's they believe something that is very different than everyone else on a specific topic, and people gravitate towards them for that. It's like, what did you guys do with Dan to like?
100%. Yeah, the Buy Back Your Time is a counter positioning book, which literally tells people you don't have to work more hours in the week to be more successful. Because in 2023, even today, there's this hustle culture of people that work 60, 80, 100 hours a week that expect to get $1 million results, and they don't, because that's not how to work. And Dan understands this because he spent fucking 29 years building businesses, and he knows that for you to do more, you have to buy back your time so you can spend your time on the shit that actually matters. And you don't have to work 80 hours a week. You can actually be a $100 million CEO and work less than 40 hours a week. And that was a counter positioning that we came into the market with that resonated hard with our core audience. And 100% counter positioning is the key to building a strong personal brand and designing that desire for proximity.
Good. Counter positioning is number 4. And then number 5 is a current goal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of creators have already made it, and they're like, oh, I went from drug addict to successful millionaire. Oh, I went from 270 pounds to the fit person I am today. But they don't have a current goal or mission that they're working towards. And people want to follow what you're doing now. When you show them what you're working towards on a daily basis, and they can see the level of effort and the mindset shifts that you're working through to be able to achieve goals, it's a perfect representation of showing versus telling. You are working towards something, and you are working through problems to get there. Show me what you are doing. Don't just tell me what to do. And so that's why I think having a current goal is so important, and it pulls people in. It makes them fans over followers. And then the 6th one is outside interests. I used to follow a guy named Steve Cook for a long time. He was a bodybuilder. He was a fitness athlete. And I loved watching his lifestyle content. I love seeing what he did outside of fitness. I loved knowing what movies he liked watching. I loved watching his relationship videos. For whatever reason. Christian Guzman, another great example. Like, I loved watching who he was outside of fitness. Alex Hormozi, he's a business guy. I love knowing what he does in his personal time. I love knowing what he believes about the world. We talked about that as dogma. But same with Dan. Like, people... Once you have the first 5, the credibility, once you have the first 5 and credibility being a main one, and people see you as a power resource for something, they start getting curious about what you do outside of business or outside of your thing. And so that's why you want to show them those things. And those are the 6 things that we do to build fans, not just followers.
100%. And we use all those 6 just with different terms inside of Martell's world. And I can speak to just the 5th right now, having a shared mission, right? We're on a mission to get to $1 billion in valuation in the next 2 years. And that's something that we share. For myself, I'm on a mission to get to 100K followers with just my iPhone to prove that you don't need any fancy gear to get views on social media. And that's a relatable mission that a lot of people, I've grown 20,000 followers in the last 60 days just because I've shared that mission, and people feel like they're on that fucking rocket ship with me, right? And I think a lot of people shy away from like starting from zero and sharing like where they're at today and where they want to be, because one, it keeps you accountable. Trust me, bro. When I made that first video telling people I'm going to get to 100K followers with just my iPhone, now I have to fucking execute, right? People shy away from that. And then 2, it actually, humbles them down where they're used to being the big dog in their industry or big dog in their every room that they walk into, where they actually have to share, where they want to be. And guess what? What if you fail in front of everyone, right? And that is a humbling experience that I think a lot of people shy away from, where they don't want to share their mission. But what happens when you lean into that is you create a movement, and you create buy-in from your audience, and you create that trust. And, the last one that you shared, outside interest, is also something that we've been leaning into for Dan, right? Where he shares himself snowboarding, he shares himself wake surfing, he shares all his mountain biking trips, he shares in the gym, right? Where we posted a video how to get abs in 90 days on YouTube, right? Fucking business influencer teaching you how to get abs. Wild. But that builds trust with our core audience, right? Because they understand that Dan is what we call, full spectrum as a human, where he prioritizes his family life, he prioritizes his physical health, and he prioritizes outside hobbies, where he shows you, hey, you can build a $100 million business and you don't have to give up all these things. You can do both. Where a lot of other influencers are just focused on the business thing, we're showing a character or all sides of Dan, where he's able to actually shine as a full spectrum human.
I can see people feeling like there is no demand for who they are as a human outside of their credibility markers. What do you have to say to people like that?
A lot of people have these things that are interesting that they think other people don't find interesting, but you will find your tribe. And just like Joe Rogan can, talk about elk hunting, bears, and ayahuasca and science, right? And all fucking the same conversation, you were able to find that similar tribe. And guess what? A lot of people I've seen, a ton of creators in the industry, create personal brands that they actually hate because all they've talked about is things that, their audience wants to hear and not necessarily what they want to talk about. And if you build a personal brand just for your audience, you're going to wake up one day and fucking hate the people that you help because they're nothing like you and you haven't shared everything about you. So what I always try to tell people is there's 3 things that you have to focus on when picking topics for the content that you make. The first one is demand, which is obvious. Focus on things that are in demand. The second one is fit. Does it have fit with your audience? And that's what we talk about, core, casual, new audience fit. The last one, which people forget, is interest. Are you genuinely interested in that topic, right? Are you interested in talking about this thing? Because if you're not, don't talk about it. And if you are, talk about it more. We posted this video about Dan explaining what he learned about business from snowboarding, not because, we just want to talk about business, because we want to talk about business through the lens of one of Dan's hobbies that makes him different from everybody else. And, everybody listening to this has something in their life that people find genuinely interesting that they don't necessarily have to think outside the box. There's things sitting right in front of you that you do every day that you could share with your audience that they would care if you've provided enough value in their life to that certain point.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Which brings us to number 3, wide versus niche content. We've covered some of these points in nuance, but let's dig into the 2 types of content you can make. Content that speaks to everyone and content that speaks to one person.
Yeah.
I think from my lens, I think there are those 2 types of content that speaks to everyone, content that speaks to one person. If, as you are earlier in your career or in your content creation journey, you should not try to speak to everyone, but a lot of creators do. They want to get millions of views. They want to build a massive audience. And so they try and go broad, speak to problems that everyone is experiencing, but they don't have any experience doing that. And so what they should do instead is try to find one person with a problem that they have credibility or that they have proof that they have solved before, and then solve that problem so well for them that they then move on to the next person. And then you basically start adding people to your room, and you keep talking to a bigger room. And then all of a sudden you're Alex Hormozy talking to a follower base of 15, 20 million followers. And you have that expertise and that ability to share it with everyone, and everyone listens to you. But I think it's a process of starting from 0, talking to 1, and then moving along and talking to the masses. I look at your brand as a room. So you are trying to fill a room with people so that you can influence them to do something. With a lot of people, it's buy that product or service, whatever. So what a lot of people do that know that they need to sell people is they only speak to the people that are interested in buying. But the issue is their room is empty. There's no one in their room. And then on the other extreme, there are people that talk about anything and everything, and they talk to the masses and they try to create viral content and they steal viral content and they see, oh, this worked for this person, and they make it their own way. And then they end up filling a room with all demographics and psychographics of life, and you can't organize anything because there's no common denominator between everyone there. And so what you want to do instead is fill a room with niche-wide viewers. So this is people that all have some interest in your niche. Not all of them are buyers, but in that room there are a percentage of buyers or people that and then exchange buyers with whatever you want to influence them 100%. To do. So that's the way I see content, wide versus niche. And I think that it's not about creating wide content, viral content, or just content that sells or just content to one person. It's about doing a mix of both. And then depending on what tier you're in building your brand, you will do more of one versus the other. So
let's double click on that, because that's how I think about, brand as a whole, and even like building for certain audiences size, is you want to know what phase of your personal brand you're in. Because if you think about every single person you work with, even in Dan's case, Dan started off as a software guy, super niche, right? And we only made content for software entrepreneurs. Then we moved into making broader content, right? Making content that's more viral, talking about relationship stuff. And our ratio from, super niche content went from 100% to maybe 50%, right? 40%. Then we're in a season of niching down again, where it's like we've built this, huge personal brand, over 10 million followers across all platforms. Now we've earned the right to make content that is more aligned with our ideal customer profile, or ICP, or core audience.
Because you have people in the room.
Because we have people in the room.
Yeah.
And I think, people forget that there's 3 phases. There's, the niche phase, the wide phase, and then the niche phase again, where they try to do the middle part without doing the first, or they stay in the first part and they never expand. And it's all about ratios. Like you said, you never go 100% deep on one end and then 100% deep on the other, because you still want to make niche-wide content where you're still talking about broad concepts, whether it's relationships, whether it's fitness, whether it's even, some AI tools, right? You're talking about those AI tools through the lens of building a business if you're, a business creator, or, tracking your macros if you're a fitness creator.
We call them topics with a universal theme.
100%.
A universal theme is something that everyone has experienced. It's a universal problem or topic. So,
yeah, universal themes. And you want to make sure that every single season of your life, you're being conscious about, are you making niche content for this season? Are you, building your credibility in the market, being known for one thing? And then are you stepping into that next season of life where you're going to go a little broader, maybe make some niche-wide content, maybe, leverage some content that's going to get 1 million views, 2 million views, 3 million views to get that facial recognition? And then have you built your personal brand big enough where you've earned the right to actually niche down again and build content just for your core audience? And I'm not saying go 100% fucking only make content for 7-figure entrepreneurs. What I am saying is dial back the broad content so that you're able to actually serve your audience even more and get them results in advance.
We're usually playing with a 70-30 or 60-40 ratio.
Yeah.
So it's either 70 wide, 30 niche,
yeah,
or the other way around. And then we just kind of it's like a scope. You're dialing, focusing, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And you're just playing with the ratios just to see what works best for what
and
to happen.
Those ratios could depend per platform. I allow a lot more niche content on our YouTube channel than we do on our short form channel. Per platform, depending on how people consume the platform, whether they're there to learn big things on YouTube or they're there to get entertained or, seagull content, like we talked about earlier, you're going to pick different ratios between wide content and deep content. And, especially on Instagram, right? If you think about how CEOs scroll, they don't necessarily scroll to learn something on Instagram. I don't go on Instagram, and I don't think anybody listening to this that's, making over 7 figures goes on Instagram to actually learn things. Most of them go there to fucking get distracted and get sucked in, right? And if they can learn something about it as a byproduct of getting entertained, that's totally cool, right? But they're not going there for the primary reason of learning something. Where if they go on YouTube, most of the time, they're actually there to learn something, right? And so you want to make sure that your ratios are actually aligned with certain platforms.
We try to teach people before we have their attention. And one of the best ways to get attention while teaching is to make educational content fun.
Yeah.
Make it some sort of dopaminergic.
That's where formats come in.
Dopaminergic, yeah. That's where formats come in.
And you're the king of formats. Like you've developed these formats for your creators where they're able to teach people things that are very useful in a fun way. And it's actually fun to learn. They either stay or scroll. And if they don't stay, they'll scroll. And you have to earn that stay by actually hooking people in using fun ways to teach them stuff.
That's good, because social media algorithms send videos to people that have a history of watching a certain type of content. So if I have a history of watching talking head content like this, let's imagine this was clipped and posted on short form, then I will get more content like this.
Yeah.
If I'm just someone who doesn't enjoy watching people talk, but I enjoy split screens with Dan Martell on one side and Dan Martell on the other side saying this is good, this is bad, you got me. So you want to create that same education in a variety of formats to hit every possible type of viewer.
Yeah.
And that's the power of formats.
100%.
Yeah. Don't stick to one. Just test a bunch.
Yeah.
Because there are people that just don't have an interest in a certain format of content. Okay, so that's niche versus wide. The fourth point, the last one, is how do people actually go about building a brand?
A lot of people believe that building a personal brand starts with gear, lighting, content, hooks. At the end of the day, none of that matters if you don't have experience. If you don't have remarkability from the actual creator that you work with or the creator that you are, right? Because I know better than anybody else. I'm not that impressive, right? at face value. But because I've built a brand up to 10 million followers, people actually listen to my advice. So I'm not an idiot and think that I'm fucking great at content just because I went from, under 10K followers to over 28K followers in, 2 months. The reason why I did that is because I had life experience and I leveraged that life experience in my actual content. And so people want to skip to the last part, which is build a personal brand, but they forget that all they should be focusing their time on, most of their time on, is doing cool shit and talking about it. Doing cool shit, talking about it. Do more cool shit, then talk about it. Because that's all that Dan has ever done, right? He's sold 3 companies before he ever fucking posted a video on YouTube. Because that is remarkable. That makes him remarkable. And I see a lot of content creators skip to the last part, which is give people advice about their life when they haven't even fucking lived yet. And what I'm not saying like, hey, don't go build in public, but at least do stuff and focus on doing cool shit more than focusing on hooks, gear, content, all that fun stuff.
If you are going to try and teach, speak from a documentation standpoint. This is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm trying. This is how it worked. This is why it worked.
Yeah, and that's Caleb Ralston talks about this, but there's basically 2 ways to build a personal brand. One is the expert frame, which is be the mentor, be the person that is giving advice, and 2 is the reporter, doing experiments and then reporting on those experiments.
Everything in life is a dial, not a switch. So that's hearing it for the first time. I think it's not exactly about talk from the expert frame or talk from the documenter frame. It's more of how much or how little.
Yeah.
So some people, there are exceptions, will be speaking from an expert frame all the time.
Yep.
Most content creators aren't that person because they don't know everything. They're not actual experts at their thing, even though they'd like to say they are.
Yeah.
Most people are going to be somewhere in between. It's a continuum. And so I think there's a ratio, just pick a ratio of how much you will assume the expert frame and how much you will assume the I'm still testing, I'm still learning.
That's a fucking massive idea.
I have helped clients gain 10 million followers in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I still don't think I know enough to be considered an expert. And so when I'm creating content, I'm not going to assume the expert frame. I'm going to assume somewhere in between. That's why I think it's a spectrum. Because I think if you are someone who's good at something, you never think you're good enough.
Yeah.
And so if you assume the expert frame and then you go to share a piece of education on something and then you don't know what to say, you're like, well, fuck, I'm the expert. What the hell? And then that's where imposter syndrome comes from.
Yeah.
And so I think instead assume a ratio. I'm mostly an expert and I still have things to learn. And so I'm just going to document at the same time. And then that sets you up for a period of learning. Because most experts, you've achieved the thing, you don't need to learn anymore.
Yeah.
And so if you have achieved things, but you still want to achieve more things, that's where I think the ratio comes into play.
That's a big idea. And I think now that you say it out loud, that's 100% the frame that I'm using in my content, essentially, which is like, this is what I've done, this is cool, and this is what I'm also doing. Because like in the experiment of getting to 100K with just my iPhone, like that also shows like some documentation part, right? Now that you say it out loud, it's like part of it is like I'm reporting on the experiment of like me trying to do this thing. And I'm also reporting on the success that I've had, with Dan. So I think that's a really fucking solid insight when it comes to like picking which frame you want to go. And you can go all the way reporter, Mark Rober style, like, run experiments, or you could go all the way expert once you've kind of achieved that thing. But I don't think most content creators, now that I think about it, are all the way 100% expert frame. Some of them are still may have doing experiments in real time.
I think there are more people that are 100% the reporter versus people that are 100% the expert.
Yeah.
And so I think it's okay to assume the identity of the person who is 100% the reporter.
Yeah. That's
completely okay. I would rarely assume the identity of someone who's the expert.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts. So when it comes to remarkability being the number one vector to building a large personal brand, there is a fuck loop that people get in. They experience something one time, and then they extrapolate a lesson from the experience, and then they forget about the original experience, and then they start teaching that lesson, and then they hear other people, actual experts, speak in great depth about that lesson, and then they start regurgitating what the expert said, but they're not actually experts because they got lucky that one experience.
Yeah.
They don't have full depth of understanding of the problem.
Yeah.
But they're regurgitating stuff. And then they're like, why is no one watching my content? But it's because they've assumed the identity of an expert and they're a novice.
Yeah. I'd say it's around 60% of content creators right now online.
Dude, it's more than you think, because there's some people with a lot of experience that I've gotten in rooms to film content with and I'm astonished.
Yeah.
Because when they go to teach, they don't know what to say. And if you're in that position and you have a lot of credibility, but you don't know what to say, it could be one of two problems. Number one, you don't actually know as much as you think you do, which is a bitter pill to swallow, but fucking swallow it. So you start getting better content.
Yeah.
Pill number two is you haven't learned what you've learned. So you haven't explored your mind and started to build frameworks and education models to simplify your 10 years of experience in fitness or business or AI or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I mean, a super simple example of this is I call them artifacts, and you want to create artifacts in your world where people can take those artifacts and get results. And it took me, 6 years to develop the HYPE framework, which is Hook, Explain, Illustrate, Teach, which literally teaches people how to make content. And in that HYPE framework is the word illustrate. And what illustration is an analogy, an example, but most importantly, a personal story about how you learn the thing. Right. And so if you're making content, whether it's, in the fitness niche, whether it's making, business content, if you can't rely on your personal experience to teach people something, you haven't even learned it yet.
Tweet.
Let me tell you this. I have one of the biggest content creators in the space ask me this question. He said, I've achieved all these things and, I'm extremely successful in all these realms. What should I now focus my time on? I know what you should be focused on when it comes to maybe, not investing and all that fun stuff, but content creation is distilling your knowledge even more, right? And taking the shit that you learn every day, the complex knowledge that you are currently, being exposed to in your everyday life, whether you're, mentoring businesses or, building businesses, and take that stuff, distill it so that you can teach it to your audience and understanding how your audience wants to consume that information. And if a content creator if I was like, what's the 80-20, right? What is the 20% of the things that you can get 80% of the results out of? Even like the 95-5. What's the 5% of things that's going to get 95% of the results in the future? It's taking your knowledge, distilling it into frameworks that are easily digestible, teaching them to people, and then tweaking them if they don't get results, right? Because I've tested the HYPE framework on internal clients of Dan's before I ever shared it on a podcast or in a piece of content, because I wasn't sure if it was going to work. Because it works for Dan, right? Because we've done it for over 6 years. I didn't know if it was going to work with everyone, right? And so I've tested it with clients. They tried it. They got results. I'm like, oh shit, this fucking works, right? And so then I started talking about it publicly. But that's the whole thing when you think about artifacts and creating unique mechanisms like Russell Brunson teaches. You want to make sure that you actually test them before you actually bring them to market. And then once you bring them to market, you'll see that people get a shit ton of results when they actually implement it. When
you're trying to create those artifacts, I call them frameworks. A framework is, let's say you are trying to get from one side of a field to another side of the field, and that is the problem to solve. On the way to getting on the other side of the field, you encounter a stream in your path. The first time you cross the stream, you wade through it, you get wet. That's not good. Second time you encounter a stream, you walk around it. That was time consuming. Third time you walk across the stream, you pole vault over it. But that was like it wasn't good for your effort. Yeah. The fourth time you're like, well, I keep crossing fucking streams and I know everyone else is going to keep crossing fucking streams behind me. Let me build a bridge over this stream. And that bridge is your framework. That supposes that you can only build a framework after crossing a stream multiple times. You can only build a framework after you've solved a problem multiple times in multiple different contexts. And so when you're trying to create those artifacts and create those frameworks, it's the way you do that isn't about thinking it. It's about doing the actual problem solving, document the problem solving, and then get someone who isn't you to create a process. So like bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, and then refine it and simplify it. And then get someone, again, who isn't you to do the task. And if they get the same outcome as you, then the framework is good. And if they do not get the same outcome as you, then you need to tweak the framework. And that's how you create processes and frameworks and artifacts.
That is 10 years of content development knowledge distilled into 30 seconds. That is what that was. And that's what I see most of the top content creators focus their energy and time on, is distilling information into concepts that everybody can apply.
I'm a huge fan of Naval Ravikant, and something he said on a podcast that I really liked was, what you don't know you know is more important than what you know you know. And the reason why I like that and how it applies to content is, especially if you're an expert at something, the things that you don't know that you naturally do when you're trying to solve a problem is your specialty that you need to turn into framework so that you can teach the world. And so that's why you need to learn what you learn what you have learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you create those frameworks that you can teach. Now that we know that you need remarkability and you need to either assume the frame of an expert, a reporter, or someone in between, or a ratio of in between, the second thing that you need to build a massive personal brand is a dedicated, talented number two.
I'd 100% agree with that. And it doesn't matter if it's an agency or a full-time person. I'd personally recommend a full-time person just because I'm biased with my experience.
I run an agency. I'd recommend a full-time.
There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want 100% make it somebody else's problem, because at the end of the day, if building your personal brand isn't the primary thing that you are doing, right? It's not your area of expertise, unless you're making content about content, which is completely different, which is kind of what we do. You want to have a number two, because now it's their problem to go solve the problem. And you can still focus on doing cool shit and then talking about it, because any time that you spend not gaining more life experience in your certain niche and building your fucking personal brand is wasted time.
So true.
So make it somebody else's problem, pay them well, and they'll get results. And I've seen every single big personal brand that I've met, there's always been somebody behind the scenes building their personal brand. It's always one person with a team, and usually there's a key man behind them that runs the operations of the actual personal brand. And if you can't find that person, you're never going to scale, because you're going to be bottlenecked by your ability to lead your creative team, because at the end of the day, talent is what you need to build a media company for you to get results on social media.
Talented number two, huge asset to building a brand. I think it takes a very rare person, and don't bet on yourself that you're this person who can build a brand as the only guy who's responsible for the creative and speaking on camera. But the last thing that it takes to build a personal brand that I've seen is a beta testing addiction. So I'll give you an example. If you have ever tried to get shredded, it takes an amount of it takes an amount of studying the details of what you consume to be able to get shredded.
Yeah.
Last summer, I was trying to get super shredded, and I cut my calories to 2,200 calories.
Yeah.
I lost weight for a bit of time, and then I just wasn't losing any weight. And I was tracking my and I was on my macros, and I was like, why am I not losing any weight? And then I just audited my day, and I was like, oh shit, I'm drinking 2 cappuccinos a day, and each one of those is 100 calories.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cappuccino's got to go. And then all of a sudden dropped another 3 pounds for the next couple of weeks. And then I stalled again, and I was like, I'm still following the plan, and I should be down to this weight by now. What's going on? And then I looked at it, and I was adding a bunch of mustard to my chicken. And I was like, mustard's got to go. And then all of a sudden I started losing more weight. And so that's how details apply in fitness. That's a fitness example. But in a content example, I have seen the reason that content isn't performing on social media be because there isn't enough beta testing on specifically the hooks and the formats.
Yep.
Because a hook is what people hear you say with different keywords and different angles to a topic. A format is what people see,
Yep.
the visual. And so you need to be a scientist when it comes to testing different things, because you could have posted a video that had 10 million view potential, but the way you posted it, it might have been 50 seconds instead of 30 seconds. It might have had a hook at 15 seconds in that should have been at the beginning. It could have had a story that was at the very end that you should have put earlier in the video. And then once you made those changes, blew up and got 10 million views. We had a creator do a video that got 1 million views the first time. And then we reposted it, got 2 million views. And then we reposted it, but we changed the sequence, got 10 million views. And that was like after the things had been changed. Another example, we had a video go get 1 million views for a creator with 15K followers. And I took 10 seconds off the video. It got 12 million views.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it's same video, just slight changes. And so the details, you are unaware at how huge the details play a role in how your content performs. So whenever I'm looking at one of the creators we're working with and the content is good and it seems good and I'm like, what's the problem? I just know we're not in the details as much as we could be, and we're not beta testing enough.
Data is king at the end of the day. Like, if you're not paying attention to the data of your content, and like you just said, you know your numbers better than anybody I've talked to in the content space, it's not an accident that you're getting results for clients. Right? And same thing for Dan. Like, I know how many followers every single reel posted in the last 14 days got us. And I know how many followers we got every day on every platform for the last 15 days. And every single person on my team reports daily on their numbers.
That's great.
And that engineers accountability and results.
How do you guys track that data? What does it look like?
If I had to distill all data collection into 2 things when it comes to content creation, it's views and followers added per piece of content. Right? How many views are you getting per month across all your platforms? And how many followers are you getting per piece of content?
So
what that'll tell you is, one, your leading indicator, which is how many views are you getting, and your lag indicator, which is how many followers are you actually getting from those views, because that ratio might switch over time, which means that you're actually getting facial recognition for the wrong reasons sometimes. Let's say you're getting 50, 60, 70 million views per month on your Instagram, but you're only converting 50,000 followers and not 100, 150, 200K followers per month. That means that you're getting exposed to an audience that doesn't like your shit. And so if you could distill all content creation down to two metrics, it would be views and followers.
So in other words, you would iterate on content that has lower views but gets more followers than content that gets more views and gets fewer followers.
1,000%, and I'll double click on this. I have a spreadsheet that ranks all our top videos after 14 days. Views, followers, comments, shares, saves. I don't rank that spreadsheet by views. I rank that spreadsheet by followers added per piece of content. Why? Because I'd rather repost or remake a video that got 500K views and 10K followers than a video that got 1 million views and 5K followers. Or even if that video got 1 million views and 10K followers, because a 1% conversion is a lot less good than a 2% conversion.
Yep.
And I think people forget that the whole point of getting views is to get fans, followers, and then fans. And they chase this vanity metric of getting eyeballs. But if you're getting eyeballs and people don't like what they see and they don't follow, you're not going to actually build a strong brand.
So good.
And so every single video that I've made that has gone under a 0.5% conversion rate from a view to a follower, I don't make again, right? Because then you're actually making videos that are getting you a ton of facial recognition, which doesn't fucking matter in today's world. All that matters is that people know, like, and trust you, right? And so you want to make content that actually gets views. Yes, obviously that's a leading indicator, and I'm not saying to make content that gets 10K views, 5K views, 3K views. Make videos that get hundreds of thousands of views, but pay attention to the numbers, the details of how many followers are you actually getting from those pieces of content.
All right, that's a wrap. Sam has